Welcome back, coaches. This is the Football Coaching Podcast. I'm Daniel Chamberlain, co-host, here with Joe Daniel, as always.
What's up, Coach?
Coach, I got to tell you a funny story, and then we'll get into the real meat and potatoes here. We'll get into our power minute. I am experiencing dad as a player's dad versus coaches, and I may have said that weird. I have to go to my son's baseball games, and I'm not a coach. But I know that you know me, and you probably know that I coach everything anyway. So I'm constantly coaching from the stands. I try not to, so I hope he tells me shut the hell up at some point. Or, hey, get a whistle. You know what I mean? Well, there's no whistles in baseball. There should be, by the way, but there's not. Anyway, I'm having to sit back and experience all the things that we talk about on the podcast. Like, if your player misses practice, they don't get playing time. And it's not necessarily because you're like, here's your punishment, but it's because like you're not as good as the kids who showed up to practice. We're experiencing that. Kids at the bottom of the batting lineup, right? He's bottom of the order because we practice some at home, but we're very busy. It's hard to get to these additional, hey, we're having an additional practice tonight at 6 if you can make it. Like, no, we can't make it. Like, it's not in the cards. Anyway, so I'm seeing all of that from the parent side and having to tell the guy, I apologize. My son wasn't there. I understand he's riding the pine. It's absolutely okay for him. Use him if you need him. Hopefully he can come through with a hit or whatever. And so for you coaches out there, I know that not all parents understand it like we do because we're coaches. But man, it's nice to be on this side and not be the burden. You know, I mean, there's I had some parents next to us last night at the game, and they were just shit talking Joe, just shit talking. I'm like, these are 6 to 8 year old kids. What are you doing? Why are you talking crap? And then, mad at the coaches, mad at the umps, mad at everything. But
yeah,
I try to be the guy's ally in the stands, our coach. So it's fun. Anyway,
it's a thing.
It is a thing. Power minute. Hey, tonight we were talking about drill philosophy, specifically building your drills around the one-on-one game and making it something that every player can win within that drill. So we'll be talking about one-on-one game for building drills, solving any problem in football with drills, and then building habits for your football players. Last week we talked about fitting the defense to your players. If you haven't gone back and listened to that, it's how you can take whatever it is you have in your brain and make it fit the kids that show up this year. Next week, we're talking about preparing for your week 1 opponent. It'll be a little bit early, coming out in probably like early June, but man, it's never too early to start thinking about how you're going to organize those first couple weeks of practice. So I'm excited about that. There is a beautiful kind of chaos. It is spring football right now, right? In Oklahoma, Arkansas got done last week, I think. Some of you guys don't have it. I don't know. Talk to your legislators. It's too easy to get spring ball.
It's so, with the coach calls, I get to talk to coaches that are in different, and so a lot of coaches have done it. And I talked to a coach and a lot of coaches have they get, I guess this is what's happening in a lot of places is they'll get like 10 dates or 20 dates or whatever. And it's just like, use them. You can use them whenever. And so a lot of coaches build a traditional spring practice, but what a lot of our coaches have to do is wait until spring sports are over, because if they use it during spring sports, it's essentially a waste.
Yes.
And so, I was talking to a coach from Oregon, and it's like, we got a week off, and then meeting, and then like first week of June, we're starting spring practice. And I'm like, wow, okay. It's like,
that's crazy. Yeah.
Spring. I mean, I guess in Oregon, that's spring practice. It's like, it's 100 degrees here today.
Yeah, no doubt. It gets nasty down here. It's hard. There's a beautiful kind of chaos around all spring ball, though. New starters, new schemes, freshmen running around like caffeinated squirrels. If this podcast kind of helps you survive all of that, please do pass it on. That's what we're here for, is help guys get through this chaos into whatever the summer holds for you, 7-on-7 or whatever. Joe, let's pay the bills. We'll get started, man.
Yeah, we're going to be talking about drills, and a lot of the drills that we're talking about are built around the ASKA tool that we've talked about and how we use that. In fact, all of our drills are built around the ASKA, and specifically the key reads for the most part is the heavy emphasis of the drills that we do. If you want to know how to build that ASKA, and specifically for the 4-2-5 defense, it's included as part of a series that I have called 3 Secrets for Winning with the 4-2-5 Defense. It is a free video series. First video focuses on the umbrella principle, which obviously, if you've listened, that one of my most treasured drills is the umbrella drill, which focuses on the umbrella principle for the safeties. So, it starts with the umbrella principle, and then we talk about the ASKA and how that applies, and then the leverage principle, some of the things we've been talking about during the season. It's a free 3-video series that you can get by going to joedanielfootball.com/425 secrets. So it's just 425 secrets. Go get that video series. You'll get the first access to the first video immediately, and then every 2 days following, another video will be sent to your email inbox. Check it out.
Awesome. I'll remind you guys about athletic speed and movement. We have hit the time of year that, like we said, most of you got all your players now. Spring sports are closing out. I think Oklahoma's track season just ended. That's why Oklahoma's in spring ball now. It is a great time to start with athletic speed movement. I know this doesn't come out until next week, and a lot of this time will be over, but it's still okay. It's a 12-week program, 2 to 3 times a week you're going to use it. So doesn't eat up all 5 days or anything. It's definitely something you can add into any of your weightlifting programs. You're getting in Summer Pride, you're doing 7-on-7, etc. Okay, it's a program you can throw onto that. So remember, athleticspeedandmovement.com. Jump over there, get signed up, get your guys started on that 12-week program now, and then you can restart it again before season.
I think it's really important, by the way, that understand no matter where you're at when you're listening to this podcast, you do not need to get all 12 weeks to get the benefit. And we do a package with the first quarter, the first 4 weeks. And it's really the first 4 weeks is the mechanics of running and how to run. That's going to have a massive, massive impact. And then the second 4 weeks is how to run fast. So that's where we start speeding things up. You cannot just start running fast with crappy mechanics and fix anything. And then the third 4 weeks is how to run, gets into the, you're building this all along the way, but really focuses on the change of direction, the lateral, the acceleration, deceleration, everything that we do in a football game. But again, you have to build the first part. And if you get through just the first 4 weeks, we have an in-season program that is shorter, and you'll be able to roll into something like that, even with just the first 4 weeks of the core program. So there's no problem with, hey, it's already July. It's not a problem. Again, this is coming out in May, but don't worry about it. Just
absolutely. Any time's a good time to start, for sure. Sweet, man. Well, let's jump into it here, Joe. We're talking about drills today and building drills. The big piece to building drills, though, is, and we're going to talk about how to problem solve, but it really is a tool used to solve whatever problem, right? Drills generally should have a purpose. There is a goal. There is a right and a wrong within a drill. It shouldn't just be something you use, and this is what infuriates me about like the Oklahoma drill. That was just something we did to do it, right? There wasn't a purpose behind the Oklahoma drill. I guess toughness, maybe.
Toughness or to see who can hit was what we were using it for.
Yeah, right. Who's going to turn it up? Who's going to turn it down? But there was you couldn't win that drill outright. I mean, if the other guy was just as physical, it was a draw. And I don't feel like, I don't know. It was just it's a stupid drill anyway.
Well, I mean, the fact is that those are the drills that never ever happen on a football field.
Exactly.
And that's where don't forget it. Please don't forget it. But those types of things that don't occur on a football field have no place. They have no purpose. And my argument on drills, that a lot of the old school drills, is where does this happen on a football field? I mean, we can talk about remember the Titans, the choppy feet and hip flips and all that sort of stuff. Up down is one that, guys fall down and have to get back up. But athletes just get to their feet. Like, that's a punishment. Don't kid yourself. Don't kid yourself. You're not, and it's hard on the shoulders, air crawling, stuff like that. It's like, does it happen on a field? Yeah, for defensive linemen, but you're not doing that. You're making your corners do it, right? Because they were late.
Right.
Like, those are punishments specifically, but the one that I always get, the sled. The sled is not realistic. You don't ever get on somebody and drive them down the field. It's just not happening. It's not happening. You can say it's conditioning. You can talk about we're going to pop the sled and jack it up and then, drop it. And it's okay. I guess that has a little bit more application, but even still, like, you're just going straight on. Like, it's not the reality of blocking. The best guy at driving the sled is not going to be like, that's not a tool for offensive linemen. And so the infuriating thing for me is not, I'm not infuriated by somebody using the sled. I'm not infuriated by anything, but what bothers me, and I would say it infuriates me, is when a coach says, "Well, our offensive line isn't that good because we don't have a sled."
Yeah.
Bro, get out of here.
Yeah.
And look,
Because 1/100th of the game,
that
you
I
can't
understand
practice.
somebody thinking that but so let's just say it now. If that's what you thought before today, that's fine. Don't think it anymore. You don't. There's no sled on the field. Even like running the hoops for a defensive end, that actually has a little bit of application because that is a realistic speed rush, angle. However, how often does it happen? And we see coaches running the hoops, and it's like, who are you playing this week? And we're wing T. Okay, so you're never ever going to use this to the, what, like, youth coaches are doing it. And it's like 95% of the game is run. You don't.
Yeah.
This is just you're doing it because you're doing it because you see it somewhere else, and that's like you don't. If you are new to the podcast and you're new to coaching, like that's okay. You are here to teach, and as we get into this, you'll find many, if not most, of the traditional football drills that you saw in Remember the Titans or The Program or any million other football movies where they're just killing each other. Don't do those. Okay, Bull in the Ring, no. Okay, these are a waste of time, asking for injuries, wasting time, not making better football players. And if you think that it's making them tougher, it's probably not. The tough kids are winning the drill and the not tough kids are quitting.
Yeah.
Like, that's kind of how it works. So what we look at with drills and what we're going to get into today, our drill philosophy, and in our JDFB quick start guide, Roadmap to Victory quick start guide, if you're a new JDFB member, or if you've been a JDFB member and you somehow missed it, 7 videos on your courses page, Roadmap to Victory quick start guide, 7 videos in there, kind of the pillars, the foundations of JDFB and what we do, things like umbrella, things like the ASKA, offensive playbook philosophy. One of those videos is the drill philosophy. There's also in the defensive drill system that is part of JDFB Premium Coaching Systems, there is a full masterclass on how to systematize your drills, how to build your drills into a systematic package to basically create your football factory, how you take a kid who sucks, who doesn't know what they're doing, who's never played, whatever, and systematically turn them into a player at the position that you need them to play. That's what drills are for. And the philosophy of the drills is building a football player who can execute the skills and the techniques needed in a game, who can learn the skills and techniques that you need to have in a game, who can actually then apply those skills and techniques to the game, and then who can continue to improve over time. And so that all starts, and one of the other things we'll get into is that drills specifically are a problem-solving tool, and we'll get more into that. But the foundation of everything is that your drills start with, look at a football game. What are the things that need to happen on a football field? On the defensive side of the ball, you need to line up, alignment. You need to know how to stand, where to stand, how to stand, who to look at, what to look at them for, and then what to do after you see what they do, right? How do you react? So it's alignment, stance, key read assignment, or ASKA. That's defensive football boiled down to 4 things: alignment, stance, key read assignment. That's it. On every play, there's an alignment, stance, key read assignment. Well, what should you be working on in practice if that is football?
Probably that.
Alignment, stance, key read assignment. Okay. So you don't need to drill alignment. You need to teach alignment, and then you need to And really, to an extent, the same thing with stance, but stance is going to work into your drills. But alignment, you don't need like an alignment drill. It can be worked into some of your drills, but it's more like you enforce alignment. You watch the alignment, you remind on the alignment, you don't let them slide on the alignment, but you teach the alignment. You don't necessarily have to drill it. You teach the stance, but and it should also be how you start a lot of, if not all of your drills, depending on the position group. It's how you start a lot of your drills is you want to see a good stance before you do anything else. So you're going to get a lot of work from stances in drill work, but you don't need a stance drill. The most important thing in football is in defensive football is diagnosing what is happening on the play. Once you know what's happening, it's getting to the play, getting to the right spot. And so you cannot. So the thing is, a lot of coaches will spend a lot of time on, say, just a really simple example, linebacker pass drops. And they'll do linebacker pass drops, linebacker pass drops, linebacker pass drops, and they're just dropping. Well, it doesn't matter if they don't recognize pass, right? It's like when do they recognize pass? And again, we don't focus on teaching pass early on, but if that's what you do, if you spend all of your time doing Oklahoma drill, just as an example, all that is the only component of that. There's no key read. There's usually no block destruct. It's usually just a suicide mission. There might be linemen. Different people do different versions of Oklahoma, but like some of them are, that word has been used for like every dumb hitting drill that there has ever been. But a lot of them are just like go hit. And so there's no key read, there's no alignment. It's not true football for alignment. There might be a stance, maybe not. There's no key read. So the only thing that's happening is tackle. So you're leaving everything else out, and it's just not it's not applicable really. We drill tackling, obviously. We teach tackling, but we don't need to. It's not something you need to spend that kind of high injury work on. It should be low injury, low contact work. So the majority of our defensive drills are spent on key read. Because if we don't get that right, we cannot get. And most of the time, our key read includes an aspect of the assignment. So, like, if I get the key read, if I'm working on key reads and the key read is pass, then they're going to go to their pass drop or they're going to go to their coverage. But we break the play down to those ASKA, alignment, stance, key read, assignment. On offense, we don't have to drill alignment. Other than receivers, they do. Probably it's not a drill, but they need to spend more time working on it. Most of the interior guys, it's alignment is alignment. You just have to stay on them. Stance, same thing. You're going to start every drill that way. Their key read is like aiming point. So their keys, we still do ASKA, and we do it alignment, stance, key read, and communication and assignment. Their key is where am I trying to get to and how am I getting to there? So for the offense, a big majority of their work is footwork and then key reads based on where they're going. So how am I getting to the guy? And then how am I adjusting to that as an offensive lineman? So that's our birdwalk drill. Quarterbacks, it's 3-step drops and 5-step drops. It's ball handling. It is key reading your progression. How do you read through your progression? What do you look at? Who you trigger? All those sorts of things. For receivers, it's footwork, getting to, we call the key their break, their route break, or the key is the person that they're blocking. It's just like offensive line. How do I get to that block? So they're drilling those things. All of those things, those are the things that you want to see in a football game. Figuring out whether it's a run or a pass on defense, and then based on that, what's my assignment? So what we do is we figure out, okay, what would the perfect football play look like? And then we break it down to the one-on-one game. And this is the most important concept, is the one-on-one game. A football play is just a series of one-on-one games. And the entire course of the game is made up of 120 snaps of 22 guys playing 2, 3, 4 one-on-one games every snap. So I don't, do the math on that, and it's, whatever it is, 160 one-on-one games in a play, and there's so many things happening. Whoever wins more of those one-on-one games, all things being equal, unless they're just so much more talented or you're so much more talented, and it really doesn't matter. Like, you're just going to run them over and that kind of stuff. In that case, you're winning the one-on-one games, but you're not doing it with like anything that was drilled or taught or anything. But in general, if we're relatively close, it's the team that's going to win more of those one-on-one games, which we call that execution. The team that executes better wins more games. So we take that, what does the perfect football play look like for your position? And then we break that down to the one-on-one game. And the one that I always use is a really simple way to look at it is the backside linebacker on a power run play. So power, the backside linebacker, let's say it's a will linebacker, and he's on the left side of the defense to the right of the offense, and they're going to run power to the left. And his guard pulls. So he's got his stance 5 yards off the ball, 30 technique, outside shade of the guard. He's keying the guard. That's his primary key read. His secondary key read is the backfield in our 4-2-5 defense system. So the first key read, the key read that he gets, which is an immediate key read. There's two different types of key reads. There's key reads that are immediate, and there's key reads that need confirmation. A pull inside is basically an immediate key read. There's nothing, I don't need to confirm it with anything. I'll just find the back and go get it. But that pull inside is instant. So when he sees that pull inside by the guard, and that triggers him to go fill the first open door past the center. And I like to use terms triggers. Triggers trigger an explode. A trigger is a key read that causes an explosion. He explodes. He, bursts, because Dale doesn't like that explosion word. So he now bursts to where he wants to be. So he bursts to the first open door past the center. He's just won the first one-on-one game. He got the key read right. Now, as he bursts, one of two key reads is going to happen next immediately, but his eyes are going to look to his secondary key read, the back, because what good is this key read if I'm just a machine that's going to run to an open gap? I have to make the tackle. That's my job as a linebacker. It's not to fill, what's your job as a linebacker? It's not to fill, it is fill open doors and stuff like that, but it's like ultimately it's to make the tackle. Like it's to make the tackle. It's to spill and make tackles. So now he's looking for a first open door past the center. And so let's say the next thing he does is he recognizes an open A gap, because you've got a 3 technique on the strong side, tackle outside shade of the guard to the strong side. And so he goes to attack that A gap. The guard on that side comes off of the combo on your defensive tackle. And his next one-on-one game is he recognizes the guard coming to block him, and he uses a rip move to rip through the block by the guard. That is his second one-on-one game. So his second one-on-one game is that he uses a rip move. So then his third one-on-one game now is he has beat the block. He picks up the running back. Now, those may happen simultaneously. They may happen, split. They don't happen at the exact same time, but he may see the running back and then recognize the block, or he may defeat the block, then find the running back. It just depends. It's not, but they are two separate one-on-one games. So now his eyes pick up the inside hip, because he's a spill defender. So he's going to attack the inside hip of the ball carrier. So he now picks up the path of the ball carrier, and he now is tracking the inside hip, and he's getting to track the inside hip of the back. That is the third one-on-one game. He has tracked the inside hip of the back. And the final one-on-one game is he tracks the inside hip of the back, eyes through the thighs, squeeze the legs, drive for 5. He executes the tackle. That's the fourth one-on-one game. That's a perfect play. He read the pull, ripped through the block, tracked the inside hip of the back, and then finished the tackle. So what do you need to work on? We have guard read drill, which is our primary key read drill, where we're working on reading those pulls. If he doesn't pull, if he pulls, follow. If he doesn't, fill. We have our 3-man rip drill, which we use. All this is in the defensive drill system, by the way, part of JDFB. All of our defensive systems. I know I talk a lot about 4-2-5, but all the defensive systems use the exact same stuff. Yeah. We use a 3-man rip drill. He rips through we use a rip drill because we're not big enough to shock and shed a 300-pound offensive lineman or a 250-pound offensive lineman. We got a 185-pound linebacker who's just the best one we got, right? Like when I have a 220-pound linebacker, and I've had a few, they don't necessarily all do rip drills only, right? But they're few and far between and usually pretty talented. They can get some special coaching. But he ripped, so we use 3-man rip drill. So we have a drill for that, for the one-on-one game. Then we have a drill called the in and out drill that we use to track the hip of the back. I think I got it from Brophy years and years and years ago. I now track the inside hip of the back. In and out drill. So that's our secondary key read drill. And then we work our tackling. We have our tackling progression, which we have inside JDFB. We go through our tackling progression, hawk tackle stuff, not anything wild, and we finish tackle. So we have a drill for key read, a drill for primary key read, guard read. We have a drill for secondary key read, backfield. We have a drill for rip move, block destruct. We have a drill for tackling. Okay, that's your drill package. What else can he do? Well, you have obviously different key reads, so you work different key reads in your key read drill. And then you work, he has sometimes the pass, and he's got a pass drop, and whether it's cover 1 or cover 3 or quarters and how he reacts to that. But that's the drill package. The drill package is just all of those one-on-one games, and then we can build those drills, because if you look at all those drills, I don't need a new drill to advance this. I can just say, okay, I'm going to add in a blocker. And so when he gets a guard pull, he's going to have a blocker coming at him. So he's going to key read, then block destruct. And so I'm going to construct this perfect play and what I want it to look like. And that's what our drills are going to look like. It's drilling the one-on-one game. And if you think about your perfect play, there is no sled. Not for any single one of your players. There is no sled. There are no step over back. Those are tools that you can use within a drill. But popping a sled, driving a sled, running little obstacle courses through bags, you can use it to warm up maybe or something like that. But like those aren't drills. The linebackers run forward and backpedal and run forward and backpedal and run forward and backpedal. If your linebackers are backpedaling, what are we doing? Where they shuffle and they shuffle and they shuffle and they shuffle. And like, yeah, they shuffle sometimes. And that's a movement. Like it's not necessarily a drill.
It's not a bunch of people on the ground either, right? To step
yeah, there's really not. I mean, like we're talking about pick his feet up and all this sort of stuff. Man, no. It's not an issue. You don't have linebackers just tripping over guys all day. Like if you do, they're way too close to the line of scrimmage to start the play. So yeah, like think about your drills. You don't need special equipment for most of your drills. There can be things that are used. I'm not saying you never use any equipment. I'm not saying I never use any equipment. I like certain things. I like the tackle wheel, the big, rolling donut. I use bags just as landmarks for guard pulls and stuff like that. I use cones a lot just for landmarks. But you don't need a chute. Especially if your guys are like ducking down under it and doing all this weird cajoling to get under the chute. And it's like, they're never going to do that. Just coach them on how to move properly and within the drill that they're doing. Leverage is important, but leverage, like vertical leverage, standing leverage is honestly very, very, very overrated in that it's important, but most of the problems that we have are not related or are not because of that.
I love that you've broken it down to the one-on-one game because I feel like that gets left out. That's kind of what I was starting to say earlier. It's like your kids should be able to win a drill, right? And there should be a goal.
Yep.
There should be a right and a wrong. There should be, and it doesn't matter. Offense, defense doesn't matter. Look, you were talking linebackers earlier, outside backers, ball up, ball down, right? Getting that key read. It is a drill, right? You can drill that. You can literally, as a coach, hold the ball up, receive the snap, hold it up, right? And see what they do and then put it down. And they should do the same thing every time they get those reads. I always turn it back to offensive line because that's just where I lived most of my football life. And there's so many things that it's like we need to win these little one-on-one games, right? The game within the game. If all of us do our little part and we all win our one-on-one, that's a very successful rep and probably going for, whatever success looks like to you, 4+ yards or whatever. When drills become just the thing we've always done, or like you said, you're running backs. Why? Well, there's no thought behind it. There's no this is why. It's just because that's what coach does. That's what we've
Coaches
always
do, yeah.
done. Yeah, yeah. Coaches do this. Football coaches who are coaches of football run this drill. No, they don't. Like, and if they do, it's because somebody down the line made it up and it looked cool. It didn't win anybody any games, right? Anyways, you just want to make sure there's a purpose. And I think the way you create that purpose is by creating a winning and a losing scenario, hence the game within the game. So if it is shock and shed and you're just trying to, get off of a block to scrape over the top and make a play as a linebacker, that's fine. What losing is going underneath or staying on a block, not shedding the block, or showing up with no emphasis because you're just standing still and the blocker's getting to you. So now there's no shock, right? Now you're trying to get off of a guy and he's running you downfield. So there's lots of variables there that cause you to lose. What winning is one way. You got to deliver the blow. You've got to shed the block. You got to get over the top and be ready to make a play, whatever that looks like.
And I think there. Go ahead.
Nope. Go ahead.
I think there's. You win the one-on-one game by doing it correctly, essentially, but there's different tempos, and so a lot of coaches are looking for competitive drill. Coach, how do we do competitive drills? Well, what we're talking about with the one-on-one, these are not competitive drills. It is teaching. It is, when I'm just drilling the one-on-one, the piece, it's not competition. It's teaching, it's skills, it's technique. Football's a competition. If you want a competitive drill, put together a scenario of football, like, yes. I don't know, team or team run or 7-on-7 or half field 7-on-7 or one-on-ones or whatever. But when you do a one-on-one, let's say you want to do, everybody knows one-on-ones for receivers and DBs, and that's great. That's all well and good. But the goofy thing is coaches will go over there and go, we're working one-on-ones today. And it's like, we're playing man coverage and you played nothing but cover 3.
Yes.
This can be a drill for the receivers. It's not a drill for the DBs because it's not something they
when they run to
do
12 yards and stay on top of a route and it's a hitch or a slant, they're going to get beat.
and so like if you want a competitive drill for your corner, like he needs to have a corner where he needs to have a quarterback to look at who is showing, like if he's, doing his cover 3 and he sees somebody who's doing, whatever, you can drill pieces of the game and make it competitive. Yeah. I can have an offensive lineman and a defensive lineman, and I can tell the defensive lineman, you're playing over front, you're a 5 technique, and I can tell the offensive lineman, and so he's got what he needs, right? What he needs, and I can put a ball carrier behind him if I want to expand it, but his need as the defensive lineman, he's got an offensive lineman in front of him who's going to execute a block. And then I can tell the offensive lineman to execute a base block or a reach block or a down block. And in the down block, he's going to win because he's down blocking. But I can say reach block or base block or whatever. And the offensive lineman, and I can make that competitive. Like, hey, if he reaches you or if he base blocks you, if he drives you out, I can make that competitive if I want to. But it's really just a piece of the game. And it would be better to do an outside drill where we say, hey, if you got to be outside of this cone and inside of this cone, or we got to force defender out there. And if you gain yards, you don't have to be crazy about this stuff. It's just football.
The other piece to it, Joe, is it needs to have a stimulus and a response. I think it's something we've gotten away from where it's a given. You're going to do this every single time.
Block on boards. Yeah.
Right. And it's like, okay, let's just say you're squeezing a down block. And the guy, you snap the ball and the kid down blocks and the lineman squeezes and the guy behind him watches and he's like, oh, I can do that. And then by the time it's your 4th string defensive end who needs development, but all he's doing is watching the ball get snapped and taking 3 steps inside and putting his hand on the hip.
That's a good point. Yeah.
And it's like, there's no stimulus there except the snap.
The only time that you do that is day 1, right? I'm going to teach you what a base block looks like. I'm going to teach you what a down block looks like. And then we're going to start drilling base block, down block, block 2 and block away.
And I guess that really kind of gets to our second point tonight, which is solving problems with, any problem in football with drills. And maybe that's where I should even talk about that is you're not going to problem solve something by drawing it up the perfect every time in the drill, right? Hey, we suck at following pulling guards. We're not good at that right now. Our feet are dead feet, or we're trying to fill that gap. We're not supposed to. So we're going to go out here and we're going to have a guard pull 100% of the time. And my
Right.
linebackers are going to follow it over there and do. No, now they're just doing repetition. Now they're just, which is, I'm not saying repetition is bad, but it's just the same thing. There's no stimulus, so there's no response. If you don't ever change that up,
Going through the motions, yeah.
yeah, then he's never actually equating this makes me do that because it's just, oh, the drill today is just run across the center's face. That's what the drill is today. And so I think it's, we get to points where we forget to put a stimulus. Even some of the like decent drills I've seen in my day. There was a running back coach at a school I was at that one of his running back drills, which if y'all don't know, it's rather difficult to just have running back drills because it's like ball security and everything else you do with running backs is based on what you see. It's a very
Well, yeah, I mean,
reactive position. So it's like ball
it's
security and then follow the guard, or it's hand on the guard, or it's make a defensive end wrong, or you know what I mean, whether you're zone or gap, like all of it is reacting to what the is happening in front of you.
yeah, the offense is very simple to drill. It's just run the play.
Yeah,
So, I think it's very, very difficult for I mean, obviously a coach can do it, but it's not going to give you it's very, very difficult for running backs to run drills without a quarterback
yeah,
because their drills should basically be, exchange drills, taking the handoff. That's where it starts. And so, what are my drills? My drill progression with the quarterbacks and the running backs is we go through and we run 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29. That's the drill progression. I mean, and obviously we might say, hey, we're going to run, and then we can add into that, the read for 22 and a read for 29 and a read for 28. It's not really a read for 28, 29, but they're catching the toss. And so
right.
that's the added element of how we're catching the toss and how we're taking our path and how we're breaking. Like that's the drill progression. What's the drill progression for the offensive linemen? Well, it's walking through their blocks with the bird walk drill, and then we can run through our blocks, and then we do work the blocks, we work the base block drill. It's like that's it. It's doing pieces. It's doing the piece of the game. It's much more obvious on the offensive side than it is on the defensive side, where the drills don't necessarily just look. But guys always want to know, what are your offensive drills? And I'm like, receivers run routes, quarterbacks hand the ball off to running backs, offensive linemen block. I don't know what you want from me.
Yeah. So that the coach I'm referencing, he just had running backs taking a handoff from a quarterback on a play, right? And then there is a bag they need to step over, which happens a lot more for a running back than it does linebackers, and then make a cut off of another coach's step, right? If he steps one
Sure.
way, you go the other way, right? So it's multiple stimuluses. This got one, getting the handoff. Two, this bag gets tossed out there at random. You got to get your feet over it. And then three, a stimulus of a read of a linebacker being
Yeah.
played by a coach. Okay. And I always thought like that's really good. It is still sometimes lacks that problem. What problem are we solving? And I guess you could say, yeah, well, I mean, if the lineman or O-line falls down sometimes, people fall down in the hole all the time. The hole's cluttered. It's dirty. It's football, right?
Yeah.
And so having a solution for that, it's hard to replicate in the drill because that's so random. Sometimes it's just somebody's leg sticking out there.
Yeah, I wouldn't want it in every because the things that I'm solving with the running back, from a high school running back standpoint, and from our offense, what I know are the problems. Our problems are, say, the counter step on power and counter that we use. So we are drilling that and we are teaching him. So I'm very big on this is all in our pistol power offense system. We reverse pivot, and I'm very big on understanding that as the quarterback takes the snap and opens reverse pivot, I want him to show ball, not like way out there, but he can keep it tight. But I want the ball to be shown. And so when I'm the back and I'm stepping, I will drill that just snap and take the first step, but the quarterback will start his reverse pivot because I want you to be looking at the ball this way. And I want you to see the ball from the quarterback and not just so
Yeah.
you're stepping and looking at the ball like you're about to go downhill and take an inside zone. And so that's a first element of it. And so that entire thing, and then how we come out of that, and then the footwork we take to get the handoff, because the handoff is going to be different. That's critical. The handoff is going to be different for every single back and quarterback, and they have to get reps together. And then it's aiming point, because they will run it too wide or they will run it too tight. And so it is, what is the aiming point? Where is this aiming point that we are taking at? That's our key. And then we can add in, and by the way, that's three things in a play. First step, exchange, aiming point. We haven't gotten to any sort of read yet. But those are all one-on-one games for that back. Those are all things that we're working on. And so the problem with the one-on-one game, and what coaches don't get sometimes with what we do, is these drills are freaking boring if all you do is go out there and go through the motions of exchange. So if all you do is literally 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, that's, by the way, that's just for those who don't run pistol power offense system, that's inside zone to the right, inside zone to the left, power to the right, power to the left, or counter to the left. That's outside zone to the right, outside zone to the left, and that's toss to the right and toss to the left. That's all of a run plays. Okay. If that's all that you do, and you're not coaching up first step, angle, path, exchange, how's the quarterback taking the ball? How's the quarterback handing the ball off? What's his hand position? What's he doing after that? Because remember that this is also a quarterback drill. So he's not just going to hand it off. He's then carrying out his fake, or you're flipping in a ball and giving a second ball drill where he's going to hand it off, and then he's going to come out and take a ball and do his play action. You can build all of these things together. If you just run that with no thought process on the details of it, because you downloaded a playbook off of the internet and it's just got lines and you're just doing the lines on the page, yeah, it's boring. And so you're going to go and find some goofy drill from YouTube that doesn't apply to your guys, but because you don't know what to teach, you got to do goofy stuff, because otherwise they're like, what are we doing? It's boring.
Yeah.
Like, and my guys might think it's boring. I tend to have a success rate of being so detailed, and our coaches are so detailed that guys realize the importance of all of these little things. And so a drill that might seem like it's going to get old, is that all they're going to do? It's like, no, you don't understand. Every single day there's a little moment, a little understanding, a little thing. When you teach it this way, there's a thing like, oh, I get the first step now. And it might take 6 weeks. This is not easy stuff. It sounds easy. It's not easy for a 15-year-old. It might take 6 weeks for him to be like, I see I see that what I was missing on it. And it's the technique. Like, not everybody's built this way, and I get it. I love doing the Olympic style weightlifting that I do. There's only 2 lifts. We do a snatch and a clean and jerk. It's the same 2. I've been doing the same 2 lifts. I've been competing that. I started training that. I mean, obviously I did power cleans and stuff in football, but I started training with John Coffey when I was 15, 16 years old at Coffey's gym in Marietta. Trained Olympians, trained a lot of them. And so I started learning it there, but now, then I didn't do it for a while. And then I've been competing for the last 9 years. Okay. Every single day, not every single day, we would do drill work to build the body positions and everything for it. But it's just 2 lifts, and the detail is incredible. And I'm still not good at it. Like, I can take that and understand that and apply that to a football play. And there's an element of, like, there in both of them, there's an element of, I can make a lot of lifts because I'm just strong enough to brute force and it looks like crap, but I got there.
Right.
And you can win a lot of football games with your guys just going out there and being better athletes or being faster or trying harder. But you're going to win a lot more when they are understanding and they're learning the details of the craft of their position. To your point, I think with running backs, a lot of times it's feeling of like offensive line. There's the craft of offensive line, and even receivers. It's like, because you see the guys. I mean, I remember watching a Wes Welker video on YouTube, and it's like the route running. He's just such a masterful route runner. But then running backs, a lot of the times, unless it's like Barry Sanders, we're like, get the ball and run, dude, because it works all through youth football. Toss the ball to the fastest kid and let him run. Don't slow him down. But there's a craft to being a running back within a system. Defense, it's the same thing. On linebacker, I talked to a coach. We talked about it last week. I talked to a coach. His guys were just hammering downfield on the no pull read. I'm like, well, they're young, but the craft is they got to slow down a little bit. And you got to help them slow down because that key read is getting them going downhill, but now they've got to shift their eyes to pick up what's happening in the backfield and adjust their position, and they got to defeat that block. And it can't just be fire downhill at the first, at the open gap in front of them, because that's not the craft, because they're just filling a gap, and maybe the ball's there, maybe it's not. I don't know. If I find out, maybe I run past the guy, maybe I don't. I don't know. So it's everything has this, and like when you look at a play, we were talking about, using these football drills to solve problems. I guess the thing is you've got to know what it's supposed to look like, and that's the advantage of a well developed system. That if you talk to somebody, like if you come into Joe Daniel football in any one of our systems, if you talk to Kenny has worked with hundreds and hundreds of teams running. I don't know how many teams he's worked with running this stuff. He's seen it done right. He's seen it done wrong. He knows the levers with his gun T stuff, or Rick with his pistol wing T stuff, or whatever. Like these guys, Bill Mountjoy could look at a play. He's running, a counter play or a power play. He's seen it so many times. He knows exactly what the problem is immediately. If you're just learning and you're trying to create your playbook, you don't have all that. You just don't have all that. Like, you look at a guy who's a masterful RPO guy, he immediately would know what's wrong with that RPO. I don't. I'm not an RPO guy. So it's like you have to be in a system where you are willing to learn and understand and have somebody that will teach you the details of the game and of the play. And you won't get them all at first. You don't have to get them all. That's why we do things like the non-negotiables. Like, what's the big things first, and then send your film in, go, upgrade to platinum level and send your film in during the season. And every week we're going to help you see another little thing and another little thing. I'm not gonna be able to give it all to you right away because it won't process. But it's there, but you're not going to process it all. But we might be able to see the next big thing in that. And when you send in game film analysis, so it's like that's. And then but you got to know what it's supposed to look like, and then you figure out what's not working right, and you drill that. Like, what's the problem right now? And then you go to drill that, and that's your lever. And so your drill is your lever. Your drill is to pull that lever. And obviously, you don't need a drill for alignment levers. Probably don't need a drill for stance levers. Most of our drills are focused on key read levers and assignment levers, particularly key read levers, because that's usually the biggest problem.
But you absolutely can work alignment within your drills, right? We talk.
Yeah, absolutely.
Linebackers reading, pulling guard, and we got to get across the center, and we got to fit the first open window wherever that appears. There's a lot to that. But if you're in a 30 backer versus a 50 or a 90 trying to do that, right, that changes how that fits. So absolutely change.
Oh, yeah. And that's important. Our guard read drill, always we're making sure checking alignment for the guard read drill. Our umbrella drill, always checking alignment. Our defensive line key read drills, always checking alignment. Our cornerback drills, always checking alignment on those things. There's always an alignment component in them. I just wouldn't have like an alignment drill. It's just, hey, I know I need to focus on this when we work our drills, when we go to team.
Yeah, touche. I'm glad you talked about the game film analysis. If you guys are not platinum members of Joe Daniel Football using game film analysis, you should be. We're currently doing those for like some of our guys overseas and stuff that are in season right now, which is a blast. But this identifying problems and being able to create a drill becomes so second nature that today I was watching one. I was doing a game film analysis, and I'm watching, and it was offense, and you're just immediately like, you see the problem, you see what didn't go right, you identify the problem, and you're already thinking, this is the drill I'm using. And the drill may not even have a name. That's another thing. Is like, hey, what's your favorite drill? I don't know. Whatever one solves the problem, right? It's literally, I line up 11 guys, 22 guys, and you're not going to do this every time, but in my head, I put 22 guys on the field. I run the play to the problem, and I, at that point, eliminate everyone who's not part of that, whatever it was, right? Yep. And now I'm left with who I need in my drill. So is it an indie thing? Maybe not. Does it need the whole offensive group? Does it need to be an inside run? Maybe not. Maybe it's somewhere in between. I like Kenny's pod concepts for this. Or, guys, it could just, like in my practice schedule, I just have a fix-it period. That's 10 minutes, 5 minutes, whatever you need. It might be, hey, we're an outside zone team and our back is not reading and making and cutting back. I need the center, right guard, right tackle, and tight end, and a couple defensive linemen, and we're going to solve this today. It could be bad double teams. That's fine. That's an O-line issue. We need to work double teams. How are we getting them? How are we getting hip to hip? Getting them vertical. Who's coming off? That's a one we see a lot of. Can't get to the second level. We make contact at the first level, and neither one of us come off, or we both come off. And now that defensive lineman blows the play up because now we're both worried about the linebacker, right? Flipping that over on the defensive side, it's kind of the same thing. Like we have these concepts where the force guy's really sticking his nose in there, and all of our spill guys are doing their job. And then there's the seam all of a sudden. Where'd that seam come from? Well, we don't have an alley player. Well, where's he at? He got stuck backpedaling. He thought it was a pass. It's cover 3. So where's the problem? We got to have a drill that replicates exactly what that guy's seeing so we can walk through it. And then, like I said earlier, it needs to have a purpose. It needs to be a winnable scenario for him where he can go do the right thing. And it better have some type of stimulus to make him have to read. I think every drill needs to have a read of some type. You mentioned earlier, like handoffs, right? You can practice exchanges. Absolutely. Early on, especially getting those exchanges down. I guess when I say every drill needs a stimulus, maybe that's a little bit later. That's not now. That's after you're getting into the season or whatever, because you do need to work little things like exchanges. We pre-shift every time before the play. The running back pre-shifts every single time, or shifts right before the ball snapped. So it takes a little while to get used to that, right? So that can be a drill on its own. But anyway, it's one of those conceptual things. When you start seeing it, you start seeing problem, you immediately like, how can I eliminate 20 guys on the field right now and problem solve? Well, I can't. I need 4. Okay, now I'm down to how do I eliminate 18? Okay, now I've got the guys that I need. Let's go solve this problem. Hopefully that's not one linebacker, one D-line, one O-line, and a running back, and now we're back to Oklahoma drill, because that's not what you want either. But maybe somebody did that at one point. Maybe we're like, hey, we just suck at running people over. Let's do it this way. All right, man, let's jump into the third part here, and that's building habits for your football players. So, Joe, in this concept, this world we're in, where we're creating these one-on-one games and we're building out drills to solve problems, how are we using those to build these habits for our football players?
Yeah, all of this is taking the things that happen on a field. I talked about it a few weeks ago. Atomic Habits is a great book. I think it's a great book for football coaches to read, to understand what habits are and how to create habits. And creating habits is about things like there's tools for creating a habit that are like, I can't think of the 4 right now, but environment is one. Make it as simple as you can. There's different kind of things that James Clear uses in that book, and I think there's 4 to help you establish a habit. It's like make it as simple as possible, setting up your environment for it. I just blanked on another one.
Make it obvious.
Make it obvious. Make it simple, I think, something like that.
Apparently, I have to expand my thing. Make it attractive.
Yep.
Make it easy.
Yep.
Make it satisfying.
Yep. So, I talked about one that I do that's just like I flip my couch cushions up, and that way I don't get to a break in my day and just flop down on the couch during my work day, and then all of a sudden 20 minutes has gone by where I'm sitting there scrolling or something like that. And so it just keeps me, when I get when I take a break, I use a Pomodoro timer with a 5-minute, 25 on and 5 minutes off. I get up and I walk around, I get a snack, go to the bathroom, and I come back and I sit down. Because if I get up and walk to that couch, that 5 minutes is going to become 20
very fast.
And so like that's a way that the environment made it. Well, you look at alignment, that's essentially that. I'm going to put you so wide that they can't get outside of you, right? And then we'll work from there. I'm going to put you so far inside that they can't run a post, and then we'll work on covering the fade. So there's little tools like that. Making it easy, making it super simple is a really important thing that we do. We're breaking it down to the one-on-one game. One of the things that we talk about is the non-negotiables. And you'll find in most of our drills, most of my drills, the primary drills that I do, in most of them, you're not going to lose it because the other guy is more capable than you. Now, there are some. We do an open field tackling drill. We have to kind of match guys up there based on their talent level, because I can't have my all region running back and an 8th grader. Like, he's never going to touch him. But like the bird walk drill for offensive line, he's not going to lose that because he's, an 8th grader, I'll just step him back and we'll make sure that step gets right. And then we'll work the next step and the next step. Birdwalk drill is in the pistol power offense system. It's the most important drill we use for offensive linemen. Like, you're not going to lose the exchange. Like, exchange drill is an excellent example of a non-negotiable. Like, you've got to be able to take the footwork in the backfield so that you get the football. Like, you can't play running back for us unless you can take the correct footwork to get the football. And you can't play quarterback for us unless you can take the correct footwork to get the football to the running back. It's non-negotiable. On defensive line, the non-negotiable is not defeating a reach block, because not everybody's going to be able to defeat a reach block. The non-negotiable, though, is squeezing a down block.
Yeah.
If you can't squeeze a down block, you're unblocked. You're unblocked. If you can't follow a puller as a linebacker, that doesn't take talent. So that's the non-negotiable. If you can't match a puller, they get a puller over there and we don't go. We stay back here and they have a numbers advantage. Now we're losing on a numbers advantage. We can't lose a numbers advantage. We can't handle a numbers disadvantage. We can talk about talent, but we got to at least have enough guys over there. So all of these things, when we talk about non-negotiables, they are the things that really take no talent, and they are very, very simple. And obviously not all of our, those are our core, some of our base things, but then we have, other things they have to be able to do. But all of it, you'll notice that all of my drills can pretty much be run in a very small space. They can be run in the off season. They can be run with very minimal or no contact. And in general, our players could go home and run most of them or many of them or some version of them by themselves. You want to talk about a position that seems simple: long snapper, throw the ball between your legs. Same spot every single time. Right. But, Rubio long snapping. Rubio is an 8-hour clinic on long snapping that he does. And it's fantastic. It's phenomenal. And it's so detailed, and it's all self-coaching, which we talked about last week. It is all things that a kid, he says, you can go home and you can do most of this other than the snap. You can do most of it in a bathroom. You can work on your snap in a bathroom. No ball, no anything. And you can self-correct and you can make adjustments and you can learn to be a long snapper. And that kind of thing, that's what we should strive for, is these things that can be done over and over and over again until they are habit. Regardless of the amount of talent that the athlete has, we can teach every single player on our team to have these habits. If he pulls, follow. If he doesn't, fill. Base block, post hip and rip. Down blocks, bend down a line of scrimmage. Squeeze down block, block 2, block away, right? If it's, ball up, ball down with the safeties, our key read. So, and again, a lot of these are key read drills. Alignment takes no talent, and your key read shouldn't really take that much talent either. It should just be repetition and work. Like, even when you talk about, like, young kid, like, I wouldn't have young kids doing really young kids doing press man coverage if I didn't think they could do it. And I think you can teach most varsity kids how to do that, but really young kids, maybe that's, too much, because it does take a little bit more.
Yeah, there's a lot to it, right?
Yeah, I mean, you got to drill it. You need time to drill it. So create habits, put them in positions, put them in alignments that make it easy for them, to make it the best. Align to perform. Jim Reed said it, taught me that, and it's just so important. Align to perform. Like with our safeties, our force defenders, align where they're going and meet them on the way. Don't try to chase them. Don't try to out leverage them. Your job is to force the run and clearly define their job, and then just work these things into habits. That means you don't have a lot of drills. Running a drill one time is a complete waste of time. If you come in and you say, like, oh, we had a hard time intercepting balls on Friday, and so we're going to run an interception drill today, and then you never do it again, it's just a waste of time. The tip drill, I mean, forget that we don't want to, you never want to knock anything up. So tip drill is a bad idea to begin with, because you're teaching the kid who's tipping it up in the air, that part. It also never happens. Like, it's very rare. So it's just like, what are we doing? It's just a drill that we've always done, but it's so rare. It's so weird. It's so, those are the kinds of things that you do. I'll just add one more thing. A lot of the drills that I've talked about aren't good drills. They're the kinds of things that you would do in a camp for like kids from like you're a college and you got kids coming from all over and you just want them to have a good time and be entertained and run around, and none of it's really specific because I can't go in and teach bird walk drill at a camp like that. They don't run our plays. They're never going to do that stuff. And so we do one-on-ones and we do that kind of thing. I don't run those times.
Just to see kids be athletic
Yeah, that's fine.
right.
That's
Change
all that's
speed.
off-season crap. I'm talking about football coach teaching football plays in season, not entertaining kids, not running you come to my youth camp when I as a head coach, we had a youth camp and kids paid $1 to be there and for the county I think we use that money to buy some hot dogs and hamburgers, and for after the camp. But it's like I had my players running this stuff and they're like, so we put them through bird walk drill because that's what they do. And, because of course your offensive lineman are the one that shows up to do the work. And I'm like, no, put out some trash cans and let them just weave through trash cans. Coach, we don't weave through trash cans. I'm like, tell them to do a rip move because it's a rip move, but run through it. Throw them a ball. Throw them like my 3-year-old had like a field day and like one of them was a football thing. And his young kid out there running it. And he's like, he's doing the right things. He's running around, they're chasing him, he's flipping them footballs, throwing the football back. It's like, yeah, do that. But that's not what I'm talking about here. I'm talking about we're football coaches trying to win a football game, not entertain a bunch of kids, not be a babysitter, right? Teach them the skills that they need to win football games, make sure they have fun, and then win football games. Those are the 3 jobs that you have as a football coach. If all you do is make sure they have fun, then you're a babysitter.
You're a babysitter.
If you don't win games and if you don't win games, you get fired. And they probably don't come back. And if you don't teach them how to do it, you won't win any games. And then they don't come back. So it's like, if they don't have fun, they're not coming back at all.
I want to just kind of close out here with the idea of building habits. And you even said like drills got to be ran multiple times. You're not going to get anything out of doing something one time. And I think that comes with all the problems, right? I used to say, don't let the first time you see something be the first time you've seen that, right? So this is why even when we're scripting our practices, we want to see worst case scenarios sometimes. We want, for whatever stupid reason, 10 guys lined up in B gap and we're trying to run power over there. It's just you need to see that thing that can make it almost impossible or a problem we've never seen before. Coach, I'm a linebacker and the tight end is snapping the ball. Am I supposed to be in a 30 off of the guy who was supposed to be the guard or the actual guard? You know what I mean? Like, which we did, by the way, 2 years ago. We snapped the ball with our tight end all the way across formation to run outside zone completely away from him. It was hilarious. But there's things out there that you may not see. Now, your drill should solve the problems you're seeing. And then as you get better at those and those quit being problems, you need to give kids a lot of reps at things that might show up. We talked about squeezing a down block doesn't really have a stimulus. If that's part of
the stimulus is the down block,
a report, right, or part of a series of blocks, though, right? I'm seeing down blocks, I'm seeing reach blocks, I'm seeing base blocks, I'm seeing pass. Then it absolutely is but you need to rotate all of those through because at some point, even if you're playing a wing T team this week, some point you're going to face a team that passes. So you do need to get those pass sets in there. Even if it's an outside zone team this week, you still need to see down blocks because you're going to play a gap scheme team. Like those exist a lot in the world. So getting these repetitions at all of these different problems within your base drills, and I don't even mean like everyday drills because there's a few positions I think everyday drills still matter.
But everyday drill is it's a bad term because you should not be doing the exact same thing every single day. All of these things are building, and whether it is what we talked about every single day, we are solving a new little detail, or as we start to combine these drills together where the guard read and then a block, but they're all building. You don't do the same thing every day.
Right. Anyway, your kids need, like you said, Joe, you really I just rambled for 5 minutes about what you already said, and that's kids need to get the repetitions. They need to see it many times so it can register, become more concrete. That's why you're like, even in my install in the fall, it's you repeat day 2 is a repeat of day 1, right? Because the kids need to see those reps. It's not just, hey, we ran power 15 times today. No, now let them go home and go to sleep and come back and see that same problem again. You hear the same play call again, have the same formations because they need to see that. So it could even be that. Don't think that on Monday we followed pulling guards because we sucked at it on Friday, but on Tuesday it is back to outside zone drills, right? Like we have to replicate that after they've slept, after they've gone home and played video games and talked to their friends and forgot about football, come back and make sure that stuff's still in there. So building habits, I mean, it's the same way we do as coaching. It's just conceptual. We see concepts, most of us. Hopefully not all of you are out there like really super worried about is that power or GT or GH or GY or it's gap scheme, right? It's concept. See the concept, defend the concept. You want your kids to eventually get there with repetition. So you can get past the you line up and do this for the drill and more of the you're thinking about why this drill, like you said earlier, why does that first counter step matter, coach?
Yep.
For a first week or 2 or 5 or 7, maybe the first year, it's because coach said so. But eventually they're going to see all those linebackers are going the same way I do. And now I have a step on them because I'm sprinting back the other way, right? So anyway.
Yeah,
all right, Joe.
I think it's one more thing is just to add in is, which we didn't talk about, is your players need to know why you're doing these drills and how they play into the game. That's, we put up every drill in the defensive drill system has film of what that drill looks like applied to the field. We're doing our film room master classes for JDFB Premium Coaching Systems members. If you haven't looked at them, you need to look at them. That's where we're breaking down the film and looking at, here's a force defender on the field, and here's a free safety filling the alley, and here's a linebacker following a puller, defending power. Here's a defensive end squeezing down blocks. All of those things. We do offense too. Here's power run against an odd front and what it looks like with the down block, what it looks like with the combo. You can show those to your players and say, here's this thing that we are working on and what it's supposed to look like at the end of the day and why we're doing this drill. Don't ever run a drill that you can't explain exactly why we're doing it. And if you run a drill and explain why we're doing it, and as you're explaining it, you go, except for we never really do that. Probably don't do the drill.
Oh, man. Yep. I like it. All right. I think we've checked all the boxes tonight. Remember, guys, spring football is where kind of optimism lives. Right now, everybody's fast. Everybody's the smartest they've ever been. Everybody's undefeated. If this episode kind of helped you channel some of that energy and get it going the right way, share it with another coach. We would very much so appreciate a share. We'll talk later about comments and whatnot. But tonight we talked about drill philosophy, the one-on-one games specifically, how to build out your drills using the one-on-one games, solving any problems with football drills, and then building habits for football players so they can be better players in the future. Last week's topic was fitting the defense to your players. Next week, we're on to preparing for your week 1 opponent. Football season's so close. Level ups. Joe, what is your level up tonight, sir?
I have not been. I've been reading books, but none of them are worth talking about. But we're in the spring season, so I level up kind of reaches back to one that we talked about a while back, a few weeks ago, where my son got his first fishing rod. My son caught his first fish. He caught a little bluegill at Swan Lake here in Swan or Shields. I can't remember which one's which. On Bird Park, which is where I used to live, but we went down there after church on Sunday. So we're in the church clothes, getting ready to go somewhere else, but we had a little time and walked around, and he had his little. I think I mentioned I can give him a hook before for everybody's safety, and I was like, "Show me you can cast with the little fishy on there a couple times," and he did. So I tied on a little, number 12 hook, tiny little piece of worm that we found in the garden before we left the house. So he harvested his own worms too.
Let's go.
And so kind of walked around, and I've never fished this lake. Not in a long, long time. I don't know what's in there. So I was just kind of like, and I had like a little 4-inch Senko. I was just throwing out just in case. And I actually got a little bite off of a little rock pile. It's one of those city lakes. There's no real structure or anything. So you're just like, I don't know, maybe. So there's a little rock pile, and I got a little bite, and I was like, okay, it's not something I want. I was like, throw your bobber right there. Kind of got it in the area. And then I'm like, talking to my wife. I think I was showing my wife how to cast my reel. And I look over, and this bobber is just under. And he's not paying any attention at all. Because watch the bobber. And he's like, Daddy, what's that? What are we doing? I'm like, pull it. And this fish was so patient. that I feel terrible about what happened to him after. But this fish was so patient. He just stayed on there and stayed on there and stayed on there. And luckily, it was a decent size. It wasn't one of the really tiny ones. So it was a decent size. So he was hooked and he got to kind of reel it. He was kind of reeling it. And I was kind of just like pulling the line, making sure this fish doesn't, I don't want to lose him. So got him, got a little bluegill, and we got him back in the water eventually. But it was I don't know. I don't know if Bluey made it, but he had a rough try to get my son to kind of hold him, and he got dropped. I felt terrible for this bluegill giving his life for this picture that we got, where I'm like holding the fish and basically I'm like covering the whole fish up because I'm trying to get him to hold it. And but we got it. It was fun. It was great. He got to make his first catch. And then I think the proudest thing was we went to brunch after that, and he told the story to everybody there. And that fish got bigger and bigger and bigger and bigger. Yeah, a big fish. I'm like, okay.
Yeah, there we go. But he's already got it.
He's got it. He's got it figured out.
I love it. No one can prove him wrong, right? Who's gonna prove me wrong? Who was there?
Well, got a picture. You can probably see the picture.
We can hide that picture. We can hide that. That's awesome. Our level ups are very similar. I got to go fishing again with my dad, which was a ton of fun. I've not got to do that in, we're talking 20 plus years. But we went and set some trout lines. So the lake that I live on, Grand Lake, the north side of it's where the Neosho River runs in. And so my dad's kind of I don't want to call him a redneck or a hillbilly, but he's very much a minimalist and just old school. So like his idea was like, we're going to put the boat in at a place and we're going to boat up the river and we're just going to hit the bank and camp, which is stuff we definitely used to do on the Washita River because no one cares if you're on their property. You're just camping. And that's
right.
I'm pretty sure the place he picked out, there's like probably a $500,000 house built right there. I'm like, we're going to be camping in their backyard. I don't know. We'll see. But we got it's supposed to be no wind that day. And it turns out there was like 25 with gusts of 45 that day. So he was afraid to put his boat in at a certain place in the lake. Anyway, we ended up going, set some trout lines on the river, on the Neosho River, just where it dumps into the lake. And the coolest thing was I got to take both of my kids. And so it kind of got to do that fishing with grandpa and the crap that I used to put up with, which is running trout lines and getting poked with the hooks and, trying to get bait fish and get them on there. And you got to it's just, there's a lot to trout lining.
Yes.
And the first time we went out, my oldest had like a disappointment and we had to go in and get baseball games done for both of them. But the little one got to go out and watch us put the lines in and all that during the daytime. Well, they both went out with us at nighttime. And I'm talking, it was like 11 o'clock at night to bait them the second time and run them. But they got to touch catfish.
Yeah.
First time I've ever seen a catfish. What is that? That thing looks like it could eat me. Like, yes, it did. Now, the biggest one we caught was probably like 8 to 12 pounds, which is a big catfish. But
yeah, big, yeah.
They got to touch them, and I'm like, that's so slimy. The youngest one was just eating it up. He was all about it, like, loved it. The oldest was like, Dad, fishing is gruesome. I can't believe we're doing that to that little poor fish. I'm like, you'll grow out of it, I hope, because this is what we do, man. Like,
yeah, no, my son.
Yeah. Like, why did you? Because some of our, we were using perches as bait fish, but they'd all died. We'd bought live bait, and because Dad got bounced around on a couple places we're gonna put the boat in, we just didn't have time to keep them oxygenated or whatever. So they ended up dying. So we're just like run it through their eyeballs, what you do with dead fish. If it's live one, you get it in, under the dorsal fin, let it swim around.
Yeah.
If it's dead, just get it on there. Yeah. And he was like, "You're poking its eyes out." I'm like, "Baby, it's dead. Like
it's all right. Yeah.
We're just feeding little fish to big fish. So, it would have gotten eaten anyway. Anyway, it was cool to see the difference in the kids. It was a lot of fun to get back out with my dad and do stuff that we've bonded over for so many years. And the kids were absolutely nuts. In fact, I think my dad almost lost his patience because we're on a rather small bass boat. I think his is like 16, 18 feet, whatever. Trying to run trot lines with 25-mile-an-hour winds. Hooks are everywhere. And then I've got two kids that have never done any of that before. So it was so much. I'm talking about stimulus and response. Jeez.
Oh, yeah.
Never been on a bass boat. Never trot lined. Never seen a catfish. Never hooked a fish. Never been on a boat at night. Like, it was just on and on and on. So It was a great time, though. I was glad to kind of pass that on to another generation. So we've actually ordered. I ordered all the stuff to build our own trout lines so we can get back out in the upcoming weeks before eventually the rivers get too warm and you don't want to trout line anymore. So
yeah.
Anywho, that was my level up. Let's pay bills one more time and get out of here.
Yeah, we mentioned, we talked a lot about the ASKA, the umbrella, levers. If you want to see those within the 425 defense system, we've got a free video series that you can check out. It's the 3 secrets of dominating with the 425 defense. And really, it's built around that umbrella, the ASKA, the levers, how each of those apply. That 3 video series is absolutely free, and you can go get it by going to joedanielfootball.com/425 secrets. It's not anywhere else right now. It's not linked up anywhere. So we're just kind of putting it on the podcast. Go to joedanielfootball.com/425 secrets and go ahead and just put your email address in. You will get instant access to that first video, which is on the umbrella principle. And then every couple of days, send you the next video in the series. Like I said, no cost. Just go check it out. Go to joedanielfootball.com/425 secrets.
I love it. One more time, mention athletic speed and movement. If you've not gotten over and checked it out, it is the perfect time to start, which any time is really the perfect time to start. Like Joe said, you really need that first 4 weeks building block where you break back down the mechanics of running correctly. The rest of it is very important. It is quite important you get back to it, but you're not going to die without it. And then, of course,
you're going to get benefit.
Yeah, you'll have it for next year as well as you get. And I mean, you run it in season. We have an in-season program there, so just because season starts doesn't mean you quit working speed. You absolutely need to do that as well. So it's no different than going to the gym, man. You need to do the weight room. You need to do your speed training. You need to do it all. Sales opening and closing. I don't think we talked about that one yet, did we?
I think we're doing athletic speed and movement. But you'll be able to get the same kind of deal if you go to that athletic-speed-and-movement.com/speed or joedanielfootball.com/speed. So either one of those is going to get you there.
Social media, I'm at Coach Chambo OK. You can email me at chamberlainfootballconsulting@gmail.com and jump over to the YouTube and such, which is all under the same name. Where are you at, Joe?
Email is joe@joedanielfootball.com. And, of course, website, joedanielfootball.com. And then, as mentioned, the YouTube channel, if you want to watch these, if you're not already, joedanielfootball.com/YouTube.
Awesome. Podcast is at the FBCP on Twitter/X. If it's your first time listening to the Football Coaching Podcast, be sure to subscribe so you don't miss any future episodes. You can find us on your favorite podcatcher, especially Spotify and Apple Podcasts, where most of our downloads come from. Been listening for a while, please do leave a review, especially on those big ones. But realistically, if you're listening somewhere, someone else probably is as well, and a review will help us a ton. Thank you for listening to this episode of the Football Coaching Podcast. And remember, coach simple, play fast, win.